Hello. Okay, welcome everyone, whoever is there. Um, um, so, what we will do today, I see there are very few people today. I don't know what happened. Um, um, is there anyone I know here? Can anyone hear me? So, oh, yeah, Devavati. Um, so, um, what happened? Most people seem to be missing today. It's a what are the um, even when we having a full class, I know just we were getting some 20, 21, 26 people, and I think there's a class of more people, 40 or 50 people. Some might be actually some might have never come on this live telecast. um, and I don't know, does everyone know that we are doing these live classes? Are there some people whom we don't know, who don't know still that we are doing these live classes? Because I guess some have not, some have not come at all. Uh, okay, and in that group, everybody is there. Everybody you think is there in the WhatsApp group. All the people enrolled in this. Okay, no, but some might have real problems, no, to kind of to get onto this. I mean, some might be not coming for other reasons, but some might have genuine problems because then we might have to. Some might have genuine problems. Um, is that a? You guys are watching this from a mobile phone, or do you need a laptop for this? I think you can watch it from a mobile phone also. So I don't think if someone doesn't have a laptop, uh, that's a both works. Okay. So yeah, and then because yeah, we have to make sure that nobody, if they want to, is not able to unable to come because of these technical reasons, or because they don't have a because they don't have a thing, have this thing. In which case, yeah. So can you please check? Maybe Vasundhara, can you check? If there's anyone having genuine problems. I mean, who might not have a mobile phone with the internet and doesn't have a laptop and or don't have a strong this thing. I know they can always watch it later, but even when they want to watch it later, I think they need a internet connection which plays the thing. So I think we need to keep that in mind. uh, so So, okay. Okay. What are we doing? Okay. One thing I want to kind of highlight here today is that okay. If you have any questions from the text or something, you know, anything you guys have this thing. Yeah, Vasundhara, please do that. That'll be nice. Naito, what we can do now, convert this into just audio files only, not a video file, but an audio file. Because the audio file then is easier to carry. Um, so, I mean, I think it's easy to extract the audio file out of the video. Then, yeah, then it's like, then it'll be just some 20 MB or something. So then it's easy. Then it's easy for everyone. So, in fact, we could also, can we explore another option? I know people are, I heard, doing Zoom and Skype, but but Vasundhara, can you check whether we can do a podcast? I mean, we might not do it, but let's look at the options. Just a podcast, which might not have this interactive thing, but I think a podcast, then you don't have to see the video, just listen to the lecture. uh, in fact, YouTube itself might have an option of not having the video, only the audio, but I think there are other things. What is the SoundCloud? And I'm sure there are these lighter apps, very light app that is very easy to kind of get onto, and then it's easy to manage. So I think we can do that. So okay, so welcome all of you to this session. And I've been doing this text with you, the Walter Benjamin text, and all the time I've been really, it's like taking me a lot of effort to really get into the text, and also the kind of things we have been doing so far, and particularly now with this corona virus thing. It is difficult to kind of really talk about anything else. So till when I took the last class, it felt I couldn't really. I mean, it was a relief to get out of the coronavirus talk to do something else. But I think now, since I have not been also following it so much, the coronavirus thing, and I think finally since yesterday I started catching up with the thing, and because this is so big, and this is a complete game changer for people, say, and I think that true, for the next 100 years, this is really going to change things. um, um, Ankita, yeah, I'll come back to this. I'll come back to what you've just said. Okay, let me see. The internet is very slow, and at times, yes, I wasn't able. Yeah, that's what. Can you just upload videos? We can. Yeah, no, the videos are uploaded. Aren't you able to find it, Ankita? The video is uploaded. Ankita, are you there? Can you? I'm sure. Could you not find it or something? Or maybe you haven't checked yet. Yeah, yes means what? Like, it is there, so you can always. In fact, last time it was immediately there. It's all there. So um, yeah, in fact, yeah. Oh no, all three are there. All three are there. All three are there. All three are there, which is so all three are there. Yeah. Others have seen it. Vasundhara, Devauti, Kumar, Gaurav, have you not seen the other videos? They're all there, right? Or is it not accessible to anybody else? And I'm imagining it's accessible to all of you. Okay, it's there, right? I think it's there. I mean, it has some 80, 90 views, so I'm sure there are others are also. Yeah, it is available. Yeah, so please, Ankita, so just get glued onto it. So, but I think if one of the things I think we should do is that I think there is a that chat thing. The chat is maybe not the right word, but I think Usmena, one can carry on the discussion on that on the chat thing. The where we have left. So even after the class ends, you can always put things there. Because I remember in the last class there were some points. I remember Devavati, you talked about the copyright and others, and I might not have taken up all the comments that come like this, but that I don't think we need to go live again. You can just maybe put it on the add it later also, and we can carry the text conversation. I think so. I think we should also explore that option that we can do. So what I was saying was, yeah. So this, you know, one of the things that Walter Benjamin is doing, and today I think this kind of connects up with the corona thing. Uh, oh, okay. Ah, I see. Lecture two is private. Okay, I'll check that. I didn't really. So yeah, you guys need to tell me this. I didn't know it is private. Okay. So um, yeah, so we'll do that. Oh, yeah, and again, Devavati, the last classes attendance and this classes attendance also. I'm already booking you for that. Um, so I'll check this. And okay, so one of the things in Benjamin, and I think when I was thinking about the coronavirus that was occurring to me, is that he's talking about storytelling. How we have lost the art of telling a story, and this incommunicability of experience, that you have this experience but you are not able to communicate your experience. And there, what you see is that, yeah, so on the one hand he talks about storytelling, like telling a tale. That once upon a time there was a king, once upon a time there was a princess, once upon a time there was so and so. Well, usually it is king and princess and all of that, but I think that's partly for effect. Or there might be other stories also. That the story which I recounted earlier, the father tells to his children when he's about to die. So on the one hand, he has this thing about storytelling. On the other hand, he's talking about the mechanical reproduction. So the two somehow don't seem to go together. They don't really harmonize in that sense. So what is going on there? And then he really wants to take this, the bodily sensorium, as it is called, right? The bodily sensorium, very seriously, which means that he's talking about the bodily experiences that one undergoes in a very urban space, right? So the bodily sensorium, the urban experience becomes extremely important. And I mentioned that, I think, the last lecture, that the urban is one of all kinds of sensory stimuli. Just try walking down a lane in a urban area. Okay, you can take a more interesting case. You walk down the Chandni Chowk lane or one of those Gali Parathe Wali or something, and you will completely understand what he means. And he sees that there's something to be retrieved. Now, storytelling, which is kind of connected with peasant society, which is connected to what he in this other essay talks about, like an artisanal craft based society, where there is this craftsman. He's whole day he's a goldsmith, he's an ironsmith, he's a cobbler or something. Whole day is there. So he is there, and people keep coming, people keep coming. And then they have all the time to chat. So he gets back to his work only when he really feels like, in the middle of the conversation. And then I say, khaini bana ke de rahe usko, right? Bidi pi raha hai, all of that. So the storytelling life, which is also could be urban, but that would be the either the medieval urban or the urban as small pockets that are still left out, say in cities of India, right, where you have this sabji wala with whom you can have that kind of a relationship, gaon wala rista kind of a thing. But he is not just talking about that. He's talking about the high city. He's talking about real urban. And so there's not much of a harking back to a bygone era kind of a thing. He's focus on storytelling might look like he's harking back to a bygone era, but when he's talking about the mechanical reproduction and the legitimate right or something, not really right, but something like that, where it's a legitimate claim of the modern quote unquote modern man for to really get into this mechanical reproduction. So he's very much so he's not. So on the one hand, it looks like he's harking back to a bygone era, or harking back to not a bygone era, but something which is coexisting today, which is the non-synchronous, and Indian society, as those like D.D. Kosambi, the great Marxist from India, maybe the only great Marxist, who pointed out the simultaneous coexistence of different modes of production, right? Uh, um, um, so, um, so how does one reconcile the two? And then we already saw that when he's talking about the aura, that the destruction of the aura is something which he welcomes, but the destruction of the aura also leads to commoditization. So the cult of the movie star. So the cult value, like the kind of thing he mentions, not really cult, but say art as magic, where art had that magical power. It's almost like he kind of loves that. He would not mind not going back to it in that chronological sense of back, but having it here in the present. um, uh, and yet he will welcome the mechanical movements, Charlie Chaplin kind of mechanical kind of reproduction, and really being able to invest the material surroundings with the human, with the eye, which is with consciousness, which is the soul. And we noticed that earlier. So so when you like thinking about the story, the power of the story, I think we really need to see what's going on there with the story. I mean, we all love stories. This some film or something which we love for such a gripping story which is being narrated. You have those age-old stories of good and bad, good and evil. We have stories about greed. We have stories with all this moral behind it. I was recently okay, but we've come to this other thing. So with the corona thing, I was like, okay, but what is the story here? Do we just make a structural analysis that humans have gone too far, and then hence the nature is taking its revenge. That seems like a structural kind of a thing, that we look at the scientific kind of a thing. Did the virus come out of a scientific lab where they were doing, what is that? Where they were doing, chemical, biological warfare things. I recently met someone, and then he told me that back in his village in Andhra, people are saying this is a virus sent by China to destroy the US. And um, and that explanation, that this is something which China has sent to destroy US. That is a kind of explanation, and it feels like a neat explanation. And it's about enmity, jealousy, between two countries. It could have been two brothers or two friends, or something like that. So the structural analysis is in one place, the scientific kind of explanation, but at the ground level, there's always these kind of stories, that really work. I'm thinking about riots in India. There's always this little story that, oh, this so and so was going and he was attacked, and the Hindus came and threw a pork inside the masjid or something like that. Or the Muslims did this. To they desecrated some Hindu temples or idols or something like that. So there's always this some kind of a localized story that is there. Or you take this entire thing about the story, the tale which comes from a bygone era, has these things about death, has these things about moral fortitude, these kind of qualities, jealousy, it could be greed, it could be moral fortitude, it could be the fickleness of human beings, it could be about love, it could be about hatred. These kind of values, that values not just in the positive sense of something that you want to emulate, but the stories used to carry that kind of a thing, right? And there is this entire power, and the story will have an ending, right? And the story keeps you waiting. Now, this so with the corona, I was like thinking, what is the story? And then finally, you need that human touching story. So finally, with these migrant workers now leaving Delhi city, and they're dying, they're like, there's this one case in which this guy is on a cycle, and his wife is behind on the carrier of the cycle, and then there's this little kid, must be 5 years old, on that rod. So he's riding the cycle, and the kid is there. Of course, he's put this because the rod is a hard surface, so he's put some clothes and all on top of it, and then they put the kid, and then the steering, the handle of the cycle, there also is put something soft for the kid to kind of, so the kid is doing like this, and almost like sleeping, but looks like very hungry and emaciated. So the reporter, some from a Hindi channel, he talks to the wife, and then so you haven't eaten for so many days, and then talks to the husband, and then he says, "Acha, aur ye bacha aisa." He's about to pat the kid, and then he starts crying himself, and then he moves away. Now these scenes, of these people leaving, walking, crossing, it's like, just like in the middle of this huge highways, completely barren, there are no villages, there's nothing, they're just like on their own, some kind of a, it's like they're running away from famine kind of a situation, and this is so deep. It cuts so much, so many layers, and the entire country is moved by it. It's like right wing, left wing. Everyone is like, okay, what is this? We didn't see it coming. And it's like, you have the city, and these are all these people. They were like the underbelly. You never saw them, you never noticed them, or you saw them, you noticed them, and yet you didn't see or notice them. It's that kind of a not seeing, not noticing, and suddenly they are like oozing out from somewhere. And the word is really oozing out, as though from when there are massive rains in the rainy season, in a tropical weather, tropical soil conditions, and when the massive rains, and all these insects start coming out, all these ants and all, because you never noticed them. You never, it was not in your active memory that they are there, right? And it's completely taken the government and everyone, including all of us, maybe, why just only lampoon the one section here, that we didn't see it coming, that we all assumed that people can just sit in their homes and watch Ramayana, or do their internet, or watch Netflix. So we just didn't see this coming, and this has so kind of so it's not just about, oh, look, the government should do something and all. I think it'll be really fake to say it's only about how the government is not taking care of this and all that. That is definitely there, but I think all of us have got stumped, that this has revealed something which we do not actively incorporate in our thinking. I mean, it's not an individual failing. It's not, of course, saying that, oh, we are all compromised or something. That's the way it is. And that, really goes back to Marx talks about the distinction in the Grundrisse, which if we see, if we do it later, uh, Grundrisse, that's what I'm trying to write. In the Grundrisse, Marx talks about this this dichotomy, but also internal interconnection between production and consumption. You know, and that's really the thing, because production is always invisible and consumption is visible. The malls are visible, the swanky roads are visible, right? That's always the case in every city. The high street, and the, what is the other street, the back street or something, right? So the back street, what is happening in the domain of production, that's also in a geographical sense, in the sense of space, in the sense of space. So on the one hand, you have Judith Butler talking about the public-private, but now you try to now transpose the public-private distinction and how the bodies in alliance violates that distinction for good. Now you transpose that onto the production consumption, the production consumption thing, production and consumption, and how, what happens when you do the public-private there, you transpose it there. So I think what has happened is with this corona thing, suddenly you get a different kind of a handle on the situation, and from this this kind of which has punctured the entire discourse on corona and really taken you somewhere else. And but now also think of this to the more ecologically minded. Like there are this lot of deers that are now coming onto the roads, right? You saw that video from, where was it from, where the deers, the animals are coming onto the roads now. And somebody sent me a video about civet. I don't know this animal. Civet, I think. Civet. Civet, chive, it's an animal. It's like such a stunningly beautiful animal it is. It's like a leopard, but with a very long neck. A leopard tending towards a little bit tending towards a giraffe kind of a thing. Very beautiful, like very agile body. Like a cat, like a leopard kind of a body, but bigger than a cat. And that is roaming around in Cochin, no, not Cochin, Ernakulam, some town in Kerala. So of course you see that, and of course the news about that the dolphins have started showing up in the canals of Venice. Also, this thing about how human industry, if you stop the, we so much critique the, and that's where we'll come to Hunger, by the way. We so much critique the science and industry and production, and there's too much and we should slow down, ecological and all of that. But don't forget, the moment you go in that direction, the moment you say, if you were to take the lockdown as the actual shutdown that we all wanted because of the ecological destruction and all that, but it could not have been done unless nature really comes and like starts killing you, right? That's what's doing, right? I mean, okay, we are saying nature is killing you, that might be wrong, but there's a force that is not in your control which is coming and killing you, and you don't know what to do, and then you shut down. Okay, you are shutting down for social distancing, otherwise you could have carried on. But the social distancing thing has meant that kind of a lockdown, a slowdown, which is very much needed. And then Delhi now has a much bluer sky. I mean, the sky was always blue, but now we can see it, right? So it's very clean and all. But don't forget, even though this is a great thing, and all you followers of Greta Thunberg and everyone, ecological people, will welcome it. But the moment you do that, what happens is that you will be surrounded very soon by wild animals who also want to eat you up, right? Yeah, there was a Vion video, I think. Yes, Ankita, you're right. So they also will eat you up, and and then what do? You do want to be eaten up because they're going to come back again. The dolphin coming now, right now, it looks very beautiful. Oh, nice, beautiful dolphin. Nature is coming back. The birds are coming back. But at some point, don't forget, the dolphin will also bring the shark along. So there's a key, there's a moral here. The moral of the story is that there is something underlying science, industry, and all of that is this basic instinct of self-preservation of humans also. It is that instinct of self-preservation which leads you to innovate, which leads you to do technology, which led the first human beings to start using a tool. The first human being who, through the Homo sapiens, I'm talking about really going back, the first orangutan or someone, the first Homo erectus, which threw a stone at an animal. Our ancestors, the first one who used a stick to chase an animal away, to chase a lion. That's where the beginning of being human starts. There's this film called Space Odyssey 2000, I think. Yeah, I think it's called, which was made much earlier than 2000. So it was like kind of, what is it called? I'm losing my words today. It was kind of projecting into the future. So 2000 is like, so it was made much before 2000. And the opening scene of that film is of this huge gorilla, the ancestor of humans, who is like yelling "Rah!" like that, and chucking a huge bone, a long bone. It must be of some big animal, could be of an elephant, up in the air. And he chucks it up in the air, and it goes up like that because he chucked it, of course, right? So it's going to go up and go up and up. And now the camera comes. The Giga Vartovian camera comes. What does the camera do? It takes you all the way up. It takes you all the way up, all the way up, all the way up. And soon you will see we reach outer space, and that bone slowly, because it's a movie, it transforms, it morphs into a spaceship. It's a modern human, right? So it kind of takes you from the ancient tool, the primordial tool, to your latest innovation, the spaceship. and you are in outer space. So that is something which we can see here. These animals are coming. We all happy. Yes, we got to be happy. But which also means that today the long piece of bone which the Homo erectus was using to defend itself, today we cannot go back to that. Today, the way we'll fight nature for the self preservation of humans is with whatever we have today. Today we have states, we have, science, we have technology, uh, whatever level of technology we have, we're going to use that. So there is this, so there is this feeling which gets triggered by these scenes that you see around the coronavirus. And but then about the story. Yeah, 2001 Space Odyssey. Yeah, that's right. I think the filmmaker is um, I forget the guy. I think spent some time in Sri Lanka. That's what I know about the director. Yeah. So we need. Oh, Stanley Kubrick. Yeah, that I was thinking of Stanley Kubrick, but for some reason I couldn't think of that, because Stanley Kubrick has made this film called Full Metal Jacket, and I was like thinking, oh man, it couldn't be him, because it's about Full Metal Jacket is about the army, and how the army. Actually, we should be watching that, because talking about Second World War, First World War, and all of that. That's, yeah. So Full Metal Jacket is, I think, the other of Stanley Kubrick's film. Um, oh, by the way, this guy who made Parasite, I watched Parasite, and I didn't realize that I've already seen his earlier film, which is Snowpiercer. Apparently, he's very good. I mean, somebody who watched a conversation with him on YouTube told me that that guy is really good, uh, and really takes you on a different trajectory. He transports you into his own different world. So maybe we should, yeah, Strangelove, yeah, that's right, yeah, Dr. Strangelove, yeah. So yeah, so the story becomes important, because as you can see, what I was doing here with you was I was taking you to the first principles kind of a thing, how it all started, the Homo sapiens, this, that. I think in a story you can do that, because you talk about the beginning, the origin, and what will happen next. And stories also talk about death, right? And so this happily ever after thing that we love to lampoon, that they got married and whatever, they happily ever after kind of thing, right? There's a happy ending kind of thing. And so I think the masses. So what happens to this kind of happy ending stories, or the stories? I was recently watching the Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, and apparently the Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs was really loved by Hitler. I don't know what is the connection. You guys can actually find it out and tell me later. Um, so these kind of stories, which the mechanical reproduction, or the kind of slice of life kind of stories that we want to do, that we do not want to do this entire happy ending kind of a story, or once upon a time there was a king or something. We will just do one moment or something, we just take someone's life as a spy. That's one of the films, right? That Razi or something, and then just focus on that, or just talk about, say, coronavirus in terms of how we should fight the virus. Even though, and you know what, the coronavirus, notice this, the New York governor gave a press conference yesterday, and one of the things he said was that this coronavirus is about building character. He said, you know, coronavirus, corona, coronavirus is about building character. Put quote unquote. So it is definitely going to become something like a saga, like an epic saga. What is the epic saga? Like in India, we have stories like the Ramayana, Mahabharata, and also, you know what? It's so interesting that the Ramayana is coming back here. And okay, you might say the government is bringing back um, uh, um, the epic saga. So coronavirus is an epic saga, and so is Ramayana, right? Right? Because this coronavirus thing, it'll soon be like, it'll be like this great battle that humans fought. It's like it is like it is like the story of the flood, right? Right. So this is a fight, and we are fighting for our self preservation. We are fighting so that we don't die. So yeah, so when the Ramayana came, I was like, right, that the government is saying that Doordarshan is going to telecast the same old Ramayana made by CP Brothers, I think. Again, I was like thinking, wow, we are in a Ramayana story kind of a thing, like those classical tragedies, that you are defending yourself. It's a fight. It's an entire society comes together. It's a epic saga. It's a battle. You can make a great moving film out of it. Now these are so the usual mechanical reproduction, the usual exchange, the usual marketing relations, the usual business, the usual everything that is usual can cannot carry on as usual, right? Everything uh, it's like they say, no, it was the best of times, it was the worst of times. What kind of a moment is that? It's the best of times, the worst of times. Who said that? It was Charles Dickens? No, I don't know. Right? So it's something like that, which is so now again, I'm like, of course, talking about today, what's happening with us. Benjamin seems to love these kind of moments, right? Which kind of again puts you in touch with something. Well, would you want to say, are we getting in? Are we being put in? Oh yeah, A Tale of Two Cities. Yes, yes. A Tale of Two Cities. That's right. Yeah. So okay, so when you see that Shive, that animal, which came into the town. Oh, it's in Calicut, Calicut, Calicut. That Shive, the animal, came out in Cali. I mean, that's according to the WhatsApp University, so you don't know. But I think why should they lie on this kind of thing? So I think it's true. But today it's a Shive. Maybe it's not that. Even though it looked like a ferocious, like a cat, big cat kind of an animal. But tomorrow it could be a lion which comes. So your elemental will soon be aroused. So what do you see in this thing? There is a story building up here, and this okay. So on the Bengal famine, I know Mrinal Sen has a great film. I forget the movie uh, on the Bengal famine. Not well on the, it's not a, it is not making a documentary, right? He's taking something out of the what the kind of human suffering that was the Bengal famine. So he makes a story. So it's a great film. Mrinal Sen. I don't remember now the name of the film. So all of this is, and that's what's happening in Germany, right? The First World War, the stories are coming back. Benjamin is telling us that the experience was incommunicable. They were inhabiting a whole of oblivion, you know. It was like a vertigo kind of effect where you underwent so much in the war, but that remains in this deeply concealed recess of your mind, and you don't really ever say it. You have been paralyzed, you've been immobilized, right? Um, and yet, I think there were stories, there were stories, but the stories were the ones that you have, like the Ernst Hungarian kind, you know, of that, ecstatic explosion, that kind of a thing. Now, all this, now, who knows, with the coronavirus, something like that might happen. All these people who are locked down in their homes, all our energies, which are like now kind of restricted and fixed in place. I don't know, man. I think there will be a upswing now. All these energies that have been kept back, pushed back. What will happen? Something will happen. Of course, it might take class lines. So if these workers who are now leaving the city, walking 1,000 kilometers, completely like it could be in the pre-industrial era, who knows, they might get angry, they might, like, you don't know, this is forming, the anger is forming, and something might happen. Okay, yeah, Okala Sandhana, yeah, that's right, yeah. That's the Mrinal Sen film. um, so what you have then is that um, um, the storytelling, the epic saga story, which will involve the possibility of death. Let me tell you a little story. Yeah. Um, I recently read a story. The story said that there was a king, and the king was holding his court, and in the middle of the court proceedings that is going on in the darbar, with his entire team of ministers, one pigeon flew into the court, and it was injured, and it dropped on just in front of the throne, the king, in front of the king. And everybody was like, oh, what is this? It is completely injured, and there's blood coming out of this pigeon. And they just looked up and saw that there was an eagle which was chasing this pigeon, and the eagle had already attacked the pigeon. It wanted to eat the pigeon, so the king picked up the pigeon, and then he said, oh, we should protect this pigeon, and he said that, because he was a very loving, pious, holy, kind hearted king, so he wanted to save a life. And then he immediately protected it, and they said that no, we must clean the wound, and again give it some food, and so that it comes back to life. But then the eagle spoke out. The eagle said that, king, you can't do this. Why are you taking this pigeon? Then he said that no, because it's not right to kill. It's not good to be violent like this, the way you are. Then the vulture, the eagle said that no, but this is my food. You know, if I snatch your food, if you go without food, then you will not, you will do everything to avoid that situation. And this is my food, so you can't take it. And then the king thought that yes, the eagle is right. How can I deprive the eagle of its food? Because this is what the eagle eats. This is what nature has ordained to be. So the king says that king thinks that maybe it should give something else to the eagle. Kill some other bird, some other animal, and give it some other piece of meat. But then the king thought that, but if I again kill some other animal and give it to it, then it is the same thing. Then I might as well give this pigeon to this eagle. So he says he thinks that he cannot do that. So he decides. What does he decide? He decides that he will cut a piece of his own flesh and give it to the eagle. So he brings the taraju, the weighing thing, and then on the one hand he puts the pigeon, and the other side he starts cutting his own flesh, just putting it. Turns out that he put a huge piece of his own flesh, and it doesn't work. The pigeon is heavy. He cuts more, and still the pigeon is heavy. The pigeon is extremely heavy. And then he says that I am going to sit, entire body, I will sit there. I'll sit there myself. And when he's about to do that, when he's about to climb the taraju and sacrifice his life, that's when, of course, it's the story. The eagle turns out to be a god. And the god says, hey Rajan, hey Rajan, मैं तो सिर्फ आपका परीक्षा कर रहा था, right? And the entire thing changes, completes, the scenario changes. Now, Louis, so it's a story like this, which at one level is very allegorical, which tells you more than what is there on the surface, but that intervention, which is coming from without, which is the eagle, which now says that it is actually a god, right? And it's also the lila, you can say, the notion of lila, that this is all a lila that is being done. So people say, oh, this coronavirus is a lila. Somebody actually sent circulating those memes telling where the coronavirus is saying that, oh, I didn't really mean to kill any of you humans, but I came just to warn you guys that you guys are going in a wrong direction, and you guys should apply brakes on the kind of whatever growth model you have or something, right? So it could be that also. So you can imagine this story must have been like, since I don't know, it's a very old ancient story. It's a giant story, and today it has so much of power even today. Now the power of the story, Benjamin is definitely willing to preserve. So the aura, there's an aura in it, right? There's an aura. Beauty and the Beast story, does it have an aura or not, you tell me? Why is it continuing like this? I am particularly aware of that because I got a niece. So, and but why is my niece so attached to that story? I tell her some of the story, I'll put on what, like a Kanaya speech or something. She hates that guy, like she wants the Beauty and the Beast story. What is the power of that? And then the urban experience is there, mechanical reproduction is there. So Benjamin is operating in all of this. This is the modern condition. Um, and the other thing is, of course, that uh, I mean, okay, so let's get slightly conventional here. So Benjamin is supposed to be a Marxist. So what is Marxistic here? Yeah, what's the dichotomy you're talking about, Kumar Gaurav? Um, so they say that the with the coming of the newspaper, um, the stories end. The advent of the newspaper is what, like 19th century thing, and already that time some philosophers and all were saying, okay, the era of storytelling is over, because what does the newspaper do? Newspaper is also like a sound bite, it just, so in some senses what the digital thing is doing to you, the newspaper had already started that process in terms of the kind of perceptions that are created, right? And Benjamin really takes you there, that what is the new forms of perception that technology brings about. And with the newspaper already, okay, there's a story, and this is a disjointed story, only yesterday's news, headlines, highlights, and all of that. But we want a whole story, we want to hear what happened, you know we don't want just highlights, we don't just want snippets. So this thing that we can just have snippets, yeah, here, there. um because imagine there's no newspaper, imagine there's no news, imagine there's no news. Okay, let me say this. Like, say, with very good old friends, you might not meet for a long while, and the good old friends, no, they don't give you snippets of their life all the time. With them, you catch up finally after a year, maybe, and then the entire thing comes out as a story. That happens with good friends, man. You don't give daily bites, I mean, you might today, it's very easy with the WhatsApp and all that, but still the full story is something else. The newspaper is giving you bites, and that's why I think we want to do more, read more serious thinkers and all that, right? We want to really engage with certain things because we want a full story. Um, and a lot of the stories. So the fact that this king in this story with the pigeon, the king is willing to give his life and death. I've done this other video, see in that series, I've done this video on George's Bataille and death, and even with Gandhi, one of the power of Gandhi's power. Gandhi's power is also coming from the fact that so many times in the struggle, he's putting his life on the line. He's about to die. He's fasting so much, he's about to die. He's walking in Noakhali, he might be killed. Right? He's always putting his body, his own life on the line of fire. Because death is that ultimate thing, you know, um, which which really moves you like nothing else. So with the coronavirus, it's really about the death. And say, look at the news of corona coming out of Italy. Finally, it was that video which has these coffins that have been carried by the Italian army. So you have the slow moving trucks. Have you guys seen that? Have you guys, Kumar Gaurav, have you seen that? Aditi, have you seen that video? Aditi? Those military trucks moving like this, and then they had coffins in it. And apparently that one video really uh, alarmed Italians like nothing else, because they're taking it lightly, right? Yeah, they're taking it lightly, you know. Oh, you haven't, Aditi? Come on, that is like, please go for it. That's like, it's a very touching this thing. And you know what? I think the Westerners did too much of mechanical reproduction only without the story. And that's why they are in denial about the coronavirus. They're in denial. Do you know that in the UK, such huge numbers are dying? They're under a huge threat. The white people, the white race, the British, and they're still running their metro. The London metro is still working, and they're still debating. Should we do a full lockdown? Should we not? They're walking themselves to death. So even the threat of death is not fully arousing them. I mean, it's sinking in slowly. Right? I think we Indians are, I think, closer to this thing about death and the fear of death. It could be just the fear of losing or something. The way Indians have responded to the lockdown and how serious we all are about this lockdown. Maybe we still have memories of these kind of tragedies, um, uh, you know, um, very much alive in us for some reason, or we always feel that I might lose something. The fear of losing. Whereas the Europeans, I think after the First World War, even though they lost so much in the First World War. But I think the Europeans, because of the so-called democratic society, civil liberties, which just means permissive, stupidly hedonistic kind of a culture, which always effaces the possibility of death and over valorizes youth, and does not really know what to do with old age, and trying to be young in old age in this really grotesque fashion. There's this notion called compressed morbidity, where you stretch your supposed youthfulness so much into even your older years, so that you keep going as though you are young, right into what conventionally we think is old age. But at some point, you suddenly die. So you don't really like nicely move on to old age, and you don't really age. So the process of dying is completely compressed, right? So you suddenly die. So you don't enjoy being old, because youthfulness, adventure, this, that, trying to be kind of adventurous in that grotesque sense, that is overvalorized. I mean, in a society like that, of course, they can't think that they're suddenly going to die now. There's just a virus. And of course, and that's not even to talk about all the things that you guys, of course, would be better at expressing, that they are very orientalist. They always think that this kind of coronavirus death and this kind of mass death phenomenon can only happen in Africa, in India, in poor Bangladesh, or something, that they cannot ever imagine that it can happen in Western Europe. Western Europe. So part of it is that also, right? Um, yeah. Um, good to see Kamal here. Kamal, good to see you here. Okay, Kumar. Yeah, Gaurav. Yeah, the dichotomy I was earlier mentioning was beautiful and ugly. Good to see you, Kamal, also in this with us here. Um, yeah. Um, uh, so what's happening with the coronavirus then is that I think, yeah. So when Andrew Cuomo, the New York governor, said it's about building character, that many years down the line, many decades, humans will look back. That's the suggestion which Cuomo was giving, the New York governor. And he's kind of fallen out with Trump. At least that's what the media tells us. That Cuomo is. I do not know what is his politics, though. He might be another right wing ass. I don't know, but I'm just going by what he's saying in the press conference. Um, uh, yeah. So he says that after decades, people look back and said, okay, humans had gone through this kind of a ordeal, and how did they fight back? There'll be novels written, there'll be stories, there'll be people be talking about. Those of us who are living through this will tell this to our children, to our grandchildren. This is what happened. It's like the Bengal famine, the Spanish flu. You lived through this thing. And did I mention the flood to you guys? The flood. It's also like and okay, the story of the flood. Again, please notice this now. Aditi, story of the flood. How do you explain? I talked about, okay, Beauty and the Beast and Cinderella. I know you guys are thinking he's only talking about stories that he's heard from his niece. But okay, the flood. The story of this I never heard from my niece. The story of the flood. What explains the persistence of the story of the flood? Is what we are experiencing today, is this a flood? Is this the great deluge which is going to drown all of us? And those of us who will survive will now then be leading the human race ahead. Where is our big ark? Where is our big ship? Because people might die. People say in India, if this actually hits home, then millions are going to die in this country. Crores are going to die in India. That's the estimate. So what explains, say, in fact, the story of the flood we associate with maybe the Bible, Christianity, Judeo-Christian tradition, but the story of the flood has been there even like earlier, pre-Christian. Mesopotamian civilization is supposed to have had the story of the flood. We have the story of the flood in India. Where is that picture of finally, who is that, Lord Vishnu or someone? He gets that boat, and there is a story like that. That's the Matsya Purana or something like that. Matsya was the fish, Matsya Purana and all, right? Now, so in Germany, what is happening then with Benjamin is that there is a sense among those who are fighting fascism that myths and stories are being deployed by the Nazis. They are telling the story. They got a story. You don't have a story to tell. Nobody wants to listen to you. You don't have a story, with exceptions, of course. With the Soviet Revolution, Maxim Gorky's mother, the novel Mother, that's a story. The novel which inspired the revolution. Okay, you will read in your stupid social science books that the revolution of Russia was inspired by the ideas of Karl Marx, by whoever, Marx, Lenin, this, that, and all that. But actually, it is the novel Mother which creates the story around the fight against capitalism. You got to get the nannies out. You got to get the mother. Of course, it is kind of, you can say it is all gendered and all of that, but that's how it has been. That's a debate we need to mark. Manu, incarnation of Lord Vishnu. Yes, Manu. So the mother, the Chinese Revolution, even in India, with Gandhi, there are a lot of stories about Gandhi, right? That's how a lot of people got mobilized in the freedom movement. Even Bhagat Singh, we have a story around him, um, how his sacrifice and when he was about to die, and the priest and the pandit and the Maulvi, they came, and then he said, no, no, I don't need to take the name of God. There's a person involved, and the person who is willing to die, who's about to die, who's involved. I think that's what makes a story. So Benjamin is addressing this, but now, and I think this is the last point. I don't know how much. Do you guys have another class waiting or something? Let me know on the comments. So with Benjamin, then you would imagine, okay, then there must be some other dimension in Benjamin then, you know, if this is the case. And don't forget, Benjamin, Benjamin couldn't just be talking about the urban experience like Charles Baudelaire does, the bodily sensorium, the shock of the new, all the stimuli that you get in the urban areas, gambling, distraction as a virtue, the circus, being a fool, collective laughter, all these, and the destruction of the aura because of mechanical reproduction, and the mass, the phenomenon of the mass, and the mass, and then in that example, in the work of art, in that essay, where it talks about the destruction of the aura, where this person now, the new person, the new man wants to possess the thing, right? And reduce the distance, because distance is key to aura. He wants to possess it, and that's such a kitsch, kind of a very low culture mass phenomenon, where you want to possess everything, you want tacky things, you want plasticky things, you want the latest gadgets. That kind of crass poor man's consumerism, that you see, but that is not something which you will reject on any moral grounds. In fact, that is kind of that kind of a raw what looks like consumerist, but without any values, extremely materialistic and full of greed and selfishness. It's like, when there's a riot, like the kind of riot which you find in the US and all, usually black people riots. There's this looting of goods from consumer stores, and there's a lot of crass consumerism there. Not really like buying it legitimately over the counter, but looting fridge and TVs and clothes and garments and all of that. So there is a kind of a very crassness about it. There is a term uh, used called dirty realism. So what's dirty realism? Dirty realism is precisely this, um, the right. So this dirty realism, which is also very working class, uh, it might be marked by some kind of crass poor man's consumerism, but it's also quite anti-capitalist in the sense that the bodily sensorium is important. And this is a very urban working class phenomenon. Working class, more like the lumpenized working class, like working class, not like the decent bank employees, very middle class, who will drink a glass of pista doodh and go to sleep. Not that kind of working class. I mean, this is more like the informal sector. Like these guys were leaving the city right now with the coronavirus, the migrant workers. Some of them, not all, but a lot of them would be this kind of into this dirty realism, lumpenized working class in the informal sector. Their lumpenization is very different from the jingoistic middle class workers. They do not really buy into the middle class petty bourgeois kind of nationalist jingoistic kind of tropes. But they are into this dirty realist thing, and they are semi-legal. Yeah, again, a bit like the Partha Chatterjee's notion of the political class. But one key thing, we can't go into detail into this, but I'll just flag one thing here before we go to this other third dimension in Benjamin, and which is what in Baudelaire, Charles Baudelaire, the French writer, poet, what in Charles Baudelaire, you have the notion of sin, the original sin. That humans are basically, we are evil. Humans are basically selfish. So there's Baudelaire talks about two brothers fighting over a piece of bread. And they could have just shared it, or one could have agreed to let the other have that piece and then say, okay, next time I have mine, you are not going to get it. But he talks about these two brothers on the street. They lunge at each other over that piece of cake or piece of bread, and they fight over it like animals. Children. They're children. And till the cake gets completely smashed and becomes all scattered and gets mixed with the dirt on the road, neither can eat. And Baudelaire said that, we are actually all evil, and we got to recognize that. So there is a kind of the devil. One is to say that the devil makes us do all this. We must fight the devil and take the name of Christ. But what Baudelaire is saying, that we don't need the devil, we are evil. So when we are talking about the gambling, when we are talking about the mass culture, where this guy doesn't want the aura, he destroys the distance, destroys the aura, he wants to possess. There is this kind of a approach, the Baudelairean approach. So you might have dons or some criminals will have that. There was a real problem in the Soviet Union. When the Soviets came to power, the communists came to power. I don't know if I told you guys earlier, they didn't know what to do with the street children who were so criminalized. You cannot really be nice to them. They are clever. I mean, they have a different philosophy of life, let's say. They think that they are actually able to look past your benevolence. So when you go and try to be nice to those kids, they're saying, okay, we know what your benevolence means. So don't try to act smart with, don't try to be nice to. We know that there is a deep design, there's a deep evil thing in your benevolence. So they are they slice you, they dissect you apart. Right? So Baudelaire is there. Now you say, okay, then what is Benjamin doing with all this? Why is he there? Why is he there with bodily? And that's where I think the notion of original sin, and the fact that we are real sinners, and the urban as the space for that. The kind of sin that you can commit in the urban is, I think, you can still be extremely cruel and all that, even in a non-urban setting outside of modernity. But there's something about modernity and the urban working class, the urban areas, where there's commerce, where there's money, where there's greed in that sense, and where there is also this deep disparities and huge concentration of wealth. Basically, let's say capitalism, crime under capitalism, but also this kind of a bodily sensory experiences that is there, in this kind of a setup. And that's where I think with Benjamin, um, uh, for him, he's talking about, um, um, I mean, before I got to this dirty realism uh, of the um, of uh, of bodily. The other writer is Bukowski, the American novelist. I think, okay, in the Indian context. Sorry, I forgot to mention, and I must mention, in the Indian context. Can you think of any writer like this? Any cultural reference that you have in mind from India on this, which celebrates, okay, let's say, which celebrates uh, this kind of sinful vulgarity, let's say, or which celebrates vulgarity. I mean, it's also generally from a middle class perspective, we'll only call it vulgar. Anything, any references which celebrates vulgarity? Vulgar, which I can tell you one. I try to watch. I try to watch. Yeah, Kama Sutra. But what else? Yeah, but Kama Sutra is not vulgar. I mean, I don't know. But what is working class about it? Kama Sutra. Kama Sutra is sexual rather than vulgar. Yeah, Monto. Yes, Monto. Absolutely, Monto. You know. Damn, I think we should read a story of Monto for this course. I think with Benjamin. Monto. When I was in Bombay, Bombay is the city for Benjamin, not Delhi. I think Monto Delhi Belly. What is that? That's a Delhi Belly. It's a real belly. It's a film, right? It's a story. Monto, Vasundhara, Monto, I think, spent an year or two or something in Bombay. That is, I think, after independence. I'm not so sure, but definitely he spent some time in Bombay, and he spent time in those inner gullies of Bombay. And there's this, and he used to visit the red light areas. He used to go visit the brothels, the prostitutes, and he has a deep connect with the prostitutes. And so Monto definitely is taking you there, and he's experiencing the urban, you know, That kind of those gullies and all the life and the experiences there. Uh, Acha, Kali Shalwar. Yes, yes, yes. That's right. The Kali Shalwar. Yeah. So yeah, we can maybe take up this story, or and also, so Vasundhara, can you also look up the his Monto's time in Bombay, and what he did. Um, okay, Q&A. Okay, Q&A is it's a film. It's a Vikas Swarup is the name of a director. Um, and so and um, um, somehow a lot of the Indian progressive directors, they want to show very nice things to you. They don't want to tell you these Manto kind of things. Manto is an exception. Okay, the other person I can think of is Namdev Dhasal. सुना है नामदेव धसाल? Okay, Slumdog Millionaire. Okay, okay. So Namdev Dasal also, he's a Bombay poet. People will just tell you he's a Dalit poet, very fiery, radical Dalit, this thing. But the way we are approaching Dasal here is from Baudelaire's bodily sensorium, So that kind of a bodily sensorium of Dasal, that when to do that. So maybe for the next class, I have still not come to the third dimension of Benjamin, but that's okay. But for the next class, can we do one story from Manto and present a little poem from the Sal, which really brings alive, the life in the city, that extremely urban working class kind of a sensorium, that kind of a perceptual apparatus, the the urban bodily sensorium sensorium in Toronto and yeah, yeah. So that's what we can discuss in the next class. No, we'll come to Hannah Arendt, of course, but I think we got to get this out of the way. Yeah, he stayed in Bombay after coming back from Lahore till his death. Wow, look at that! Look at that! Look at that! Okay, so let's do that. And so Vasundhara, tell us a little bit about Monto in the next class. We'll figure out how you can do that technically with this, you know, with this technical thing, and Uzair Mir, you find out a poem from Dasal. And Gaurav also. So we'll do a little bit of Monto and Dasal in the next class. And Dasal has a collection, um, collection. Okay, about Bombay and this kind of a scene. Okay, so it's the Bombay Benjamin Baudelaire thing. Okay, so the Bombay. So Bombay Benjamin Baudelaire. This one, some people in India, some scholars have tried to do some work on it, but I think some people have looked at cinema, Bollywood, and the figure of the Kapori in the kind of crass Bombay slang which goes with this kind of urban lumpenized kind of a Baudelairian, Benjaminian, mechanical reproductionist culture. But I think most of the work is very pathetic. I think they are so pretentiously written, as though they're doing a great thing by talking about the Topuris, I mean, Bollywood cinema is full of that, right? All the criminals encounter with police, that Bombay films, including even that Gully Boy. Gully Boy also brings you the flavor of the city. And in fact, there are, yeah, I mean, it's a good film. Um, the that one, and maybe also Slumdog Millionaire. Slumdog Millionaire, maybe because it was directed by a white guy. I think वो पहले से बदनाम हो गया बेचारा. पता नहीं. I haven't seen it. So there's a Salam Bombay film. Yeah, but yeah. So 10 साल का ना वो है 10 साल का कलेक्शन है. एक है ओजेर. There is a 10 साल poem about some seven horses. सातवां घोड़ा ऐसा कुछ है. Seven horses. I've read it, but and then about um, um, about like explode. Some poem he has, explode or something. Explode. But try to see if you can get something which is more like brings you the this bodily sensorium kind of a thing alive. Um, yeah. Um, so yeah, so let's do that. So I'll leave out maybe the Benjamin thing, you know, for the next class, and even though I would say it will look slightly incomplete to do this, but I think yeah, but let's do this, because what I was trying to suggest is that. Is that Benjamin would, of course, so the third dimension in Benjamin. Okay, the next class we'll do Monto, this thing, and the third dimension, right? The third dimension. The third dimension in Walter Benjamin, kind of thing. Yeah. So ठीक है, that's good for today. Please go through these references, and what are we and then we'll meet now on um, I think online we are having more classes than what we had earlier, right? uh, because everybody has so much time. So should we say the next class is when, like Tuesday kar de class? Should we do it Tuesday? uh, is Tuesday fine? Tuesday, do you have some other class? Monday, Tuesday is, or should we do 1st of April? Tuesday is the 31st, I think. So today is Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Okay, let's do Wednesday, which is the 1st of April. We can all fool each other. Wednesday? Is Wednesday good? Satakshi, is Wednesday good? ओके, क्लास ऑन वेडनेसडे, तो थर्सडे करते हैं फिर, थर्सडे और ट्यूसडे. What would be good? Because we've given homework to Vasundhara and Ozair. So Tuesday is fine, Ozair? या तो ठीक है. ओजैर, 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 ओजैर चला गया क्या ये? या तो ट्यूसडे ऐसे रखे, 10 साढ़े 10 बजे का, ठीक है, 10:15 इज गुड. ओजैर ये चला गया क्या? सो तो ठीक है. 10 I always say 10:15. You know what I'm doing these days? 10:15, I'm just putting the kind of like fixing the gadget here, 10:15. 10:15 a.m. And so Vasundhara, that story, of course, um, but there is this. There is, oh yeah, but yeah, the story, of course, that you mentioned from Manto. But see if you can get the from the Bombay. What was he doing? Like where was he going? Just roaming around on those roads, and I'm sure he's really quite immersed in that scene there. Um, uh, it's yeah. So don't forget also that. Oh, Ozair, you're in 2G. Ozair, where are you? Are you in Delhi, Ozair? Ozair, are you in Delhi? Oh my God, you're in Kashmir. Okay. So what's about this thing about they're saying, oh, you Indians, you guys think you are in a lockdown, but this what you guys are experiencing is not a real lockdown. You come to Kashmir, that is a real lockdown. You Indians. Have you guys been seeing that? Which is kind of true. So yeah. uh, yeah. So, Ozer, what about the poet from Kashmir? The country without a post office. I have a lot of friends who love him and read him, but for some reason I never myself took it up. But I feel like there are some Baudelaire this Baudelaire kind of strains in that poet. Aga Shahid, right? Shahid Aga Khan or something. What's his name? Um, yeah. So okay, so let's do that. So any on Corona now? On Corona, have you guys? I've been watching this great video from this guy. I know you guys are like critical theory, Agamben, and everything, but I'm going simple on coronavirus. I'm going extremely flat and simple. So I'm watching this video of this guy who explains what is that virus. What is that virus? Just the virus. I mean, just the biological part. So if you guys are watching any of it, can you just share it with me here and with everyone? I'll share the one that I am watching. um, uh, um, that is called. Uh, this guy, I'm completely liking his videos. Uh, what's this? Yeah, this one. I think it is this. I'll send you this link. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, current curfew is civil and voluntary in nature. Kashmir had a, yeah, post. Yeah, Aga Shahid Ali. Yeah. Yeah. So you was there? Yeah. Look into that. Whether there is a Baudelairian strain there. That sounds very, very, very. You know, um, quite maybe wrong to say that, but okay. Here's my guy on this thing. That's my. So that's my. That's Ninja Nerd. He's good. Ninja Nerd. That's my guy. Ninja Nerd. I like this guy. Just follow him. We should all like. So because you got to need also know just about the virus. And he does a good job explaining this. So okay. So Gaurav, you also prepare for the go to the Dasal thing, Namdev Dasal kind of thing. Yeah. So and if you guys have anything quickly to suggest what I should watch in Corona, please do that. Uh, um, um, so okay, so see you guys then. So what I was telling you earlier, if you guys want, you can carry on this online conversation. Which poem? No, Dasal, just go through. Dasal, there are a lot of poems. Just go through. Like he's so much a Bombay person. He's like from there. He's from the Chawls of Bombay. The Bombay Chawls. So the Chawls, so the Bombay Chawls. Yeah, but avoid a lot of this stupid, lot of this, a lot of very decent looking literature on this, but I don't trust them. They're very pathetic, very pretentious, very bourgeois, very facile, just trying to show off Benjamin. Because don't forget, Benjamin has a lot of snob value. I mean, you can go like, so it's very snobbish to be reading Benjamin. You are supposed to feel great about yourself, and then you're supposed to show it off, like doing high theory or something like that. So a lot of people is using Benjamin, it's so cool, blah blah blah, that kind of thing. But so yeah, in that kind of a spirit, some lot of article people wrote on Bombay cinema using Benjamin and all that. uh, we are not we're just keeping this to ourselves and just doing this. So okay, so see you guys. I hope all of you are well. I think my prediction is that Indians are saving themselves from Corona by being Indians themselves, because of the weather, because of the way we are already living in dirt and mud and all that. We are already full of viruses and bacteria from before. So I think the Indian way of life, I mean by India I mean also, in a non-hegemonic sense, also Bangladesh, a bit of Pakistan, the Indian South Asian conditions of weather, and the fact that we are already so much in around living with bacteria and the virus, that might save us. because the virus has really come from such a cold area, from South Korea, Wuhan, in China, now in the West. There's very cold, very clean areas, very hygienic, ultra hygienic people. But we are not that. The vacancy for virus is already taken by pre-existing viruses here. So coronavirus has to compete with so many other viruses here to get here. So that might save us, but you never know. I mean, India is still not done mass testing. We don't do they're just trying to, like, use this lockdown as a one solution for the entire coronavirus, and they're not doing any testing and all. So there's also a chance that uh, the coronavirus might take some time to compete with the other viruses and take some time to adjust here, which means that the gestation period might be longer. So it's one possibility. Worst case scenario that I can imagine is maybe not like in the next 1 week or so, but maybe this might go on to April, May, June, and then the virus might again spread in India. So then, of course, if that happens, in India, if it spreads like the way it is spread in Italy and all, millions are going to die. Okay. I mean, there's no doubt about that. That the Italy, Wuhan levels, if we get there, then, entire, like, communities, neighborhoods would be wiped off. There's no doubt about that. India is like we are a powder keg, about to explode, So, but I don't think we are really going there. Somehow, I think that the coronavirus is not able to do well in India. That is what might save us. So, okay, see you guys then on Wednesday. I'll put this video online. So, what was that? Who wanted to watch it? Akshita, someone, you will be able to watch it later. So, yeah. So goodbye then.